Hi, today we're going to talk about multiplying complex numbers. So far, we've figured out how to simplify them, and we know that the square root of -1 is I. So today we're going to multiply them, and when we multiply them, we're going to get some kind of different results once in a while. All right? Now, we've already multiplied binomials, and we've done that with the FOIL method, where you do first, outer, inner, last. Like if I said I had... let's see, x plus 2, and multiplied that by x minus 1, for instance, okay? And when I did that, I do x, that's a minus sign. Whoops, that's a 1. It doesn't look like a 1, okay? Okay, so I multiply that, and I get first terms is x times x is x squared. And then I'd have outer terms, which is the x times the -7, which is -7x. I always kind of write it like this, so because I know I'm going to combine the middle two terms. And then I have positive 2x for the inner terms, so I put the 2x here. All right? And then I'm going to erase this negative sign I put in here because that's kind of misleading. There we go. And so when I finish this, I'm going to combine these two to get -5x. That's my inner and my outer ones. And then my last term is going to be 2 times -7, or -14. Okay, now this is going to work exactly the same way until we've finished. And then once we're finished, there's one little kind of change to it. Okay, so if I'm going to multiply this together, I get 3 times 4 is 12. And I get 3 times -5i is -15i. And 2i times 4 is positive 8i. And then I get 2i times 5i is -10, but then I get I squared. All right, so I combine my two middle terms and get -7i. So I got the 12, I got the -7i. But then over here, this -10i squared has a little kind of funky thing to it. I got to think about what is I squared. Okay, I got the -10. But I squared is going to be, remember, I is the square root of -1. So I squared is always going to be -1. It's like you take off the radical sign. All right, and there's people that argue about it and say, well, you know, what if I square them and I get positive 1? But you sort of have to, for this to work, you have to just do it this way. You just have to know it's going to work this way. So anytime you see I squared, you know that it's -1. So now this -10 here, we already had -10, and we're multiplying it by -1. So it's going to turn into positive 10, isn't it? So my final answer, okay, now I've got positive 10, but I got to combine it with this, 12 at the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to have 22. That's the original 12, and the positive 10 from here. And then I've already combined these two things to get -7i. So I got -7i. All right. Let's try another one. This one, oh, I guess that's what I got right here. Okay, so then let's try this one. Now, this one's not binomial times binomial. It's monomial times binomial, so that's a little easier. I'm going to multiply this times this, and I'm going to get 6i. And then I'm going to multiply this times this, and I'm going to get 18. I squared. Okay, so this fine stays the same. This becomes -1, and -1 times 18 is -18, but we want to put it in standard form. Its standard form says get the real numbers always first. So I'm going to put my -18 first, and then I'm going to put the 6i. So it's kind of cool. They trade places, don't they? Okay? Because I got you know, this is becoming real because of the negative 1. So now it goes first. Okay, let's try this one. 5 times 3 is 15. Just like it would be on any other problem. Okay. Outer terms is 5 times 7i is going to be 35i. And then inner term is going to be 3 times 6 is 18, but notice it's got a negative sign here. So it's going to be negative 18i. Okay, and then I've got my last term right here. Negative 6 times 7 is negative 42. But they've both got an I on them, so it's going to be I squared. All right, so then 2 things we got to do. Whoops, I think I'm running out of room on the board here. Okay, and that is I've got to combine the like terms. So positive 35 and negative 18, okay, is, I sometimes do is change this to 20. If I had negative 30, if I had 35 and I'm taking away 20, I'd have 15, wouldn't I? But I'm not taking away all 20, I'm taking away 2 less than that, so instead of 15, I got 17. So I got 17i here. Of course, you guys have calculators built into your hands, so you just got to do it that way. Okay, now this, I got I squared is negative 1, right? So negative 42 times negative 1 is positive 42. And so I've got to combine, I combine the middle 2 terms to get this, but now I'm also combining the first term with the last term. All right, and I've got for positive 42 and positive 15 is going to be 57, isn't it? Well, you have to correct me if I'm wrong. You just raise your hand and I'll online humor there. Okay, pretty bad, huh? I know, it's early in the morning. Okay, there we go. 57 plus 17i. Woo! Cool-o. All right, so this is not hard. This is similar to what you've been doing. Okay, the only difference is, you're going to do this at any kind of FOIL term. The only difference is when you get done, you've got an I squared. And you change that to negative 1, change this, and then add it back to the beginning. And that's the only difference. All right? Oh, here's a couple more. Let's try some of these. Okay? 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times negative I is negative 9i. And then negative 5i. I sometimes do this where I write these middle 2 terms underneath each other, so it's easier to add. And I got negative 5i and negative I, so I've got negative 5i squared. And, it's easy to sort of like make a shortcut of this and not write this down, so I'm not going to change it. But honestly, it's easier if you don't. Don't change it, because it'll just make it easier. Now, let's see, this, I got to go back and look, see. This is a negative. No, it's not. No, yeah, negative. Yeah, it is. Okay, so negative is negative 14i. All right, and this becomes positive 5, doesn't it? Because I got negative 5 times a negative 1 is positive 5. So now I've got 14 minus 14i. And there's a section in your book on this, and there's homework, and there's answers in the back of the book, even though it's online. And you can check your answers, make sure you get them right. Would be a good idea, okay? Let's skip down to this. This is kind of one of the biggest ones. 2 times 5 is 10. I have to watch my time now on these videos, because if I go over 15 minutes, I can't put them on YouTube. Okay, then 2 times 8 is 16i. And the inner term is going to be 30i. So see how I'm going to write it underneath here? I don't know. I'm just when I add, I like things vertically instead of horizontally. And then 6i times 8i is plus 48i I squared. Or negative 48, isn't it? Okay, because the I squared is going to be negative 1. Alright, so I got 10. So these add together to give me 46i. And remember, that's going to end up at the end because that's the imaginary part of the complex number. Complex numbers have a real part and an imaginary part. And we always put the real part first. So 10 and negative 48 is going to be negative 38. And that's the real part, so it goes up front. Awesome job. Okay, thanks a lot, guys.